Hey folks, MayesBoy 91 here, and I'm recovering from allergies and crap, so more than likely my voice will not be at 100%, but we're gonna go with it. So I feel that this video needs to be made. This video is going to be about what it's like owning your own place. Now, I guess I'll start with how I got my own place. Mine was me being in the right place at the right time, I guess. Kind of the ultimate opportunist kind of thing. So it all started with my friend and I. We had a garage sale and we had people coming in buying stuff, and we were talking to people and things like that. And him and I were talking about me getting my own place. And a person that stopped by just so happened to have a place she was selling. So thought that was interesting. I was like, okay, let's take a look at the house. Now, at first, keep in mind, this is the first place I've looked at. Looked absolutely perfect for what I needed. Absolutely perfect. But at the time, it was the first place I looked at. So it was kind of the situation where I didn't really want to pull the trigger on the first thing I saw. So I said, thank you. I will hold on to this number, and I'm probably going to shop around a bit. So I ended up getting a realtor, and she had me look at probably 12 different houses throughout the area. But unfortunately, I don't want to say anything about the realtor, but because I have to, she just didn't seem like she knew anything about any of the places that I wanted to look at. Because, for example, if you say, oh, the roof was just replaced, okay, how new is the roof? When was the electrical replaced? This and that. I would ask her these questions about the places I'm looking at, and she'd be like, well, I don't know, but I'll let you know. No. Let me know now. I'm here now, and I want to know now. Because more than likely, as soon as I leave, I'm not going to be interested. I'm going to look at somewhere else. And I did. So I went through 12 different houses, maybe 13 different houses, and they were complete dumps. Absolute dumps. For the amount of money that they wanted for these houses was absolutely ridiculous. And I was getting very discouraged. And it got to a point where my dad and I were sitting down talking, and he was like, you know, that first house you looked at was your best bet. And I'm sitting there thinking, you're right. No, you're right. And I started panicking because I thought I lost a number to the woman. Thank God I still had her number. And this is after maybe like a year. So called her up. I said, hey, I want to look at that house again. And I did. And this time I was really serious. So what I ended up doing was, obviously my dad went with me, and I actually asked my boss, which he is a house flipper. He actually buys houses, fixes them up, and sells them. So he actually kind of knew what to look at and what to look for in houses. So I asked him, hey, if you're not busy, can you come down and look at this house for me? And he did. So he looked at the house, checked everything over, and at the end, he was like, this is a very solid house for you to move into. And luckily, with this house, the owners were including the refrigerator, washer, dryer, dishwasher, couch, computer desk, ping pong table, lawnmower, leaf collector. They were including a lot of things in this house. Now, originally, I was going to get a loan, which, if you want to get a loan, you'd have to do your research in different banks to see what loan works for you, what's the best rate, and you would be locked in for 30 years. Luckily, up to this point, I saved up enough money to maybe put a decent chunk down on the loan, but I talked to my boss about it, and he was like, with the what they want for the house, why don't you just throw an offer out to them? It wouldn't hurt to just throw an offer out and see what they say. And I thought about it and I was like, you're right. It's better. I know it sounds crazy because I was using up the majority of the money I had, but it was better to just own the house and be locked in for 30 years. You know what I mean? So I threw an offer out to him and they came back with a counter offer. Now, I'm not going to say how much I paid, but the one offer they said, we will sell it for this much, but not include anything with it. But if you want everything included, that you could basically just move it and go, we will offer this much. And I agreed with that amount and we went through with the paperwork and everything. Now, keep in mind, this was a private transaction between the person, the house buyer, and two lawyers. In my opinion, it's a hell of a lot easier to do it that way without having to pay the realtor and a bunch of other fees and other crap. It was easy, 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 easy. So went through the paperwork, and ironically, a few days after my 30th birthday, got the call from the lawyer. He said, we're ready to go through with this. And I would say maybe a few weeks later, eventually she can give me the keys. I hugged her because this is just a huge step in my life, and paid for the half year for taxes, the property taxes and school taxes and the lawyer and everything, lawyer fees. And it was officially mine. At 30 years old, I own my own property. Now, that's kind of a dream, I think, for people in my age group to own your own place, to be your own boss, to own some property and start a family and, eventually and all that other happy stuff. But you also need to remember that you are the boss and everything is up to you. Let me give you an example of reality kind of hitting me when this started. Now, I expected this, so it didn't really shock me, but it was also a huge adjustment. First week, I had to buy a few things, had to fix a few things, had to replace all the locks and the doors just in case somebody had a key and somebody decided to sneak into my house or something. So, first week was a little difficult. I actually ended up selling one of my guitars just so I can get some groceries. But the thing is, the money that I spent was needed to kind of adjust. Now, I had to get toiletries, I had to get towels, had to buy sheets and things like that. And luckily, a lot of the stuff my parents gave me, and I got some numerous things here and there just given to me. Now, there's still things I have to fix. I still have to fix the deck that I have. One of the corners is still sagging down, which it's very difficult to crawl under there. And actually, when I moved in, one of the pipes under the bathroom, it was literally right where the shower was, where the drain connected, that was leaking. And that almost leaked onto all of my stuff that I had down there. I still had to move. Luckily, nothing got wet. So that I had to fix. And somehow, when I was using the ride mower they left, uh, oil got into the gas. So had to get that fixed. Thankfully, my dad knew what he was doing and he took the whole thing apart and cleaned it for me. These are the things that you have to think about when you own your own house. On top of that, you have to buy insurance. Now, I pay about $500 every year for insurance. Now, some people are like, oh, I don't need that, blah, blah, blah. Yes, you do. This is a huge investment. And if it goes up in flames, you're screwed. So it's nice to have the insurance. Now, in order for me to qualify for the insurance, I had to scrub all the moss off my roof. Actually, I have to do that now because it's happening again, unfortunately, because of the trees that are around my house. Is it obnoxious? Yes. Are you qualified to get insurance? Yes. Now I have insurance, so now I can sleep at night. On top of that, you have property taxes you have to pay. Now, unfortunately, with my job situation, I could not pay the full amount of property taxes in January. On top of that, it went up an extra $1,000. So you always have to expect that. Always expect it to go up in price. And it's extremely difficult when you have one paycheck coming in and it's right after Christmas and you're also paying off your car and your credit card. Those are things you got to think of too. I also have a dog. So these are all these things you have to think of when you own a place. Now, I am solely accruing the money to pay off my property taxes. On top of that, you have to accrue a savings account because of emergencies. There was a point when I first moved in, I did not have a snowblower. And here in Western New York, snow can be a bitch, especially with my driveway. My driveway is a gravel driveway, and it's a little bit of an incline, like a hill. So, first 2 years I was here, it was a pain in the ass to get through that driveway. I got stuck one time at the very tip of my driveway. There was so much snow under my car, my tires weren't gripping the ground. Thank God I had a neighbor across the way that had a snowblower, and he saw me stressing to get my car out for work. Thank God he came over and he snowblowed my driveway for me. So I thank the Lord they got really nice neighbors. So after that, I said, screw that. I need a snowblower. So eventually I found a snowblower for a really good price. It was actually off season. So I found a really good price on it. I was able to survive winter. Um, and eventually I found a dog who helps me keep my sanity. You know him as Buddy. You've heard him in the podcast. And I got to pay for his stuff. There was actually one vet visit that I had to do that I had to get a bunch of stuff for him. And thank God I had a credit card at the time. I wasn't planning on spending that much on the credit card, but the cost ended up being about $450 in vet bills. That was a shocker. I didn't expect that. So you need to be prepared for things like this. Now, I know I'm making it sound like it's a pain in the ass. And yes, financially it can be. But as long as you pay your stuff on time and you don't let bills accrue, you'll be fine. As long as you get your bills paid, hey, maybe you have some late fees. As long as you get them paid. Because if you don't pay these bills, like property taxes, for example, eventually the government could take your house and your property. And you're going to have to pay these off at some point, or you go to jail. All these things that you're going to have to pay off, you got to pay them off. Another thing, too, with all the things I have in this house, a lot of the stuff I have is used. I have a used microwave. Most of the bookshelves I have were used. I got them from thrift stores. I actually bought one for like $20 from a dude that was selling on a Facebook Marketplace. Who cares if it's new? Buy used. It is so much easier and financially better for your wallet to buy used. For example, the majority of my video game collection is all used. The computer I'm recording this on right now is used. Most of the shelves that I have, the TV desks that I have, are all used. As long as it works, who cares? Now, is it, I wouldn't buy things that are like literally falling apart, but it's like, you know what? It looks decent enough. Works for me. You know what I mean? So just because you have your own place and as long as the stuff looks decent enough, like I said, it's not falling apart or anything, who cares if it's used? If it functions, use it. On top of that, if it does look like crap, redo it. There's a bunch of videos on the internet that you can just redo shelves and spray it and everything and make it look nice. And heck, YouTube helps me a lot with things. Thankfully, I do have people who are willing to help me with things if I do need help, like with motors and things like that. I have no idea about any of that stuff. But for example, my lawnmower wheel popped and I had to replace the inner tubing in the wheel in the tire. So what I ended up doing was figuring out how to get the tube into the tire and pop it into place. So I had no idea what I was doing. Plus, I also had to replace the oil. So I ended up looking up how to do that. Yes, I could have asked my dad for help, but at that point, I was like, I want to learn how to do this. If I'm going to be using this, I need to know how to do it. So I looked up how to do it and figured it out. There's some things in this house I've done myself. I've hung up some things to make things more convenient for my game room. I've rearranged my room to where it's convenient for me. I've rearranged my game room, my living room. I've decided I wanted to do this for my bathroom. If you own your own place, you can also be very independent. Now, again, I have people who are willing to help me, which is awesome, but I'm also trying to be as independent as I can. Sometimes you do need help. For example, sometimes my mom offers to buy some groceries for me. Sometimes I can't buy stuff until payday. So sometimes that helps. Now, am I ashamed to get help? Of course not. Everybody needs help sometimes. All right. And if people are willing to help you, why not? Now, I'm not saying take advantage of them and be like, oh, can you loan me $1 billion? No, it's unreasonable. Buying some eggs and some fruit for you is pretty reasonable enough, I would say. So I tried to nail everything in this video, and I think I did. But I guess in closing, be prepared because as soon as you own your own place, reality is going to hit you. And if you're not prepared for it, don't buy a house. And don't buy the first thing you find. Don't buy the first thing you see. Do some research. And heck, save money because you do not have to buy the newest game console immediately. You do not have to waste your money on the newest thing that you find. And then you'll realize, oh crap, I guess I should have saved money. Now, don't get me wrong. I've done that a time or two and I've paid for it. I've had to go shop at Dollar Tree for the past month a couple of times because I don't have any money. But I had to pay for it. Everything's on you. But at the same time, it can also be very rewarding. You feel more independent. You feel more empowered with your life. Do I have the greatest career right now? No, but I'm still making some money. I'm still being responsible financially, somewhat. But you feel empowered. You feel more independent. And you can make your own choices. And you can have a dog. You can have a cat. You can design what your yard looks like. And you know what? If you don't want to mow the lawn right now, you can wait a couple of days. Just don't let your lawn go haywire because if you do, the cops can actually go to your door and be like, hey, you got to get your lawn mowed, dude. So everything's on you. But do your research, save money, and if you can make that big step and you feel that you are prepared enough, do it. It is so much easier to just say, hey, I own this place. I'm not locked in for 30 years. And my house, yeah, the property taxes have gone up the past couple of years, but my house value has gone up. So there's that plus two. So I think that's everything I wanted to say. And I hope you enjoy this video. Comment, like, subscribe. The boys and I are going to be back with the podcast here soon. Thank you for listening, folks. And y'all have a good day / night.